sort of, I'm putting you on the spot again.
Maybe I could say a little bit more about how I experienced the ongoing training groups. That kind of gets brought up. I feel like I have to talk a lot about that.
Talk about what?
Like what goes on inside the group.
In what way?
Well, there's a way in which it...
I'm sorry, I need to change the tape. Is that okay? I'm sorry, I was trying to find a transition point, but...
Change the tape?
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Is that
yeah,
okay? All right, okay.
It's supposed to be just as bad, but nonetheless. So, yes, I go back.
Yeah, I think that there's something really important to say about what goes on inside it. Roger was saying, there's lots of people screaming, I hate you, and certainly that does go on, but it's not the only thing. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I mean, there's a lot of really complex dynamics that happen that are very difficult to describe outside. It's of course, you might compare it with a regular therapy group because most of us are trained therapists who are running it, but it's not a therapy group. It's not dealing with normal day-to-day outer world issues and concerns at all. Maybe it comes in sometimes a little tiny bit, but it's all about what it's like to be in the room with each other and trying to deal with, I think one of you said, feelings, and it is feelings, but it's even more than that. It's issues and complexities and how our issues and complexities relate to each other. Sometimes I'll find that I'm working with one person at a time, for a little bit of time individually, and a lot of times it'll involve my own experience of inferiority in relation to whoever I'm with, and a lot of times though it's about trying to facilitate how people interact with each other vis-a-vis their own trauma, and trying to stay focused on that. It's a very interesting process, and just the whole dynamic between trying to be real and genuine with one's own. There's one of the things I want to bring up about core trauma has a lot to do with narcissism. This is all about self-realization. It's all about having a self. It's all about homosexual subjectivity and personhood, and that gets mixed up with infantile trauma around narcissism, around our failure as infants to be mirrored adequately, especially in a gay, homosexual, lesbian, whatever that is, way, and to then give a space for this powerful narcissistic need that never gets adequately addressed or fed throughout our lives, to have an opportunity to have center stage, and struggling with all the shame, horrible, violent shame around being narcissistically indulgent. Me, or it really hurts, or I'm sad, or you're doing this to me, or trying to, and then negotiating that primitive narcissistic unmet need and wish and yearning with trying to stay present and respectful of what it is we're trying to do. It's very challenging because it's homosexual. We have to expect that there are all these violent issues and feelings about being homosexual that get activated and want to destroy for example, the father that maybe I would become, the father who's so mean and neglectful and hurtful, and that wants to get projected, the negative father wants to get projected onto the facilitator or onto the program, and want to take over. And imagine a little gay kid who never got to really take over and say me, and I hate you for neglecting me, and I feel so hurt, and I want to take over and make it all about me and just destroy this family and father that really hurt me, and it gets very mixed up, and it's very interesting to try and struggle with that. And we talk about being fried. What does it mean to feel fried, and how do you value that whole thing? How do we value this process of feeling fried and cooking in this very difficult struggle, and understand that doing that helps to cultivate magnificence around homosexual being that couldn't get realized before. it's a little bit, kind of getting a little off track around what it's like to be in the room in the process. But maybe get a little bit of taste of that.
Yeah, sure. A little bit of that. I would maybe amend that a little bit. I would suggest around the idea of that magnificence, some kind of magnificence. You mentioned several times now this kind of thing. That's another possibility. Because I don't want to encourage a framing of it that made that a little clearer. It's a possibility, not magnificent.
Right on.
It's maybe some other alternative that maybe if we weren't preoccupied with all of our stupid energy being drained into horror shows of the endless breederistic packs that compels us to drain ourselves like a vampirism that never frees us. Draining and draining and draining and draining. Draining our loyalty, our energy, our attention, our time. I don't mean the stuff we do on the outside attention. I mean inside. What's going on? There's always going on the inside, whether we're aware of it or not. It's as busy on the inside as it is on the outside, whether the party involved in that knows it or not, or is sensitive or not. By busy on the inside is on the out. I mean, it's even busier, really. There's more dimensions, more possibilities on the inside, in my personal experience, than even on the outside. As much as it seems like there's a big world out there, or whatever. Pales, in my opinion, compared to what is on the inside. But in terms of what's on the inside, you're alluding to potentials and possibilities. They've been dishonored, horrifyingly dishonored, is what you're all alluding to. If any of us attempt to be, say we want to be homosexually liberated these days, so we've been influenced by the Stonewall Rebellion, we're after Stonewall historically, and now we want to be self-respecting homosexuals, let's say. Maybe there are other things going on, but let's say that that's a particular matter, you know. So great, we struggle, I come out, and now, you know, I hated myself as homosexual, and I'm struggling with that somehow, you know, I'm coming to equanimity, you know, I can come out as that, you know, and I feel better about myself. Now I'm okay, now I'm gay accepting, now I'm gay positive. So I'm not alluding to, I'm now gay positive, maybe I have particular issues that's still kind of crimping me and stuff, but so if I take care of those, tie up those loose ends, I'm now can be, you know, really greatly self-accepting because I've said how I'm gay rather than I'm opposed to it. But that's merely, I'm suggesting that rather the horrors are much deeper than that. The recovery has to be much deeper than that. The trauma is much more fundamental. Our culture is built on trauma. No child is not raised with the most horrifying of traumas, all usually masqueraded as love. And the way it's done, quote unquote, the way it's done, according to the culture, the traditions, the way the parents and grandparents did it, and how Adam and Eve did it. The levels that we get laid on of obligation and duty, I'm talking every damn fucking child born since so-called Adam and Eve gets this crap laid on them. It's called enculturation. It's particularly horrible if the enculturation includes that you're an ugly, especially disgusting loser fucker because you're homosexual, let's say. There are other reasons, but I'm picking on this, and not just because we might be concerned or interested in the homosexual issue or quality, but because there's something in it itself. There are all kinds of ways to be queer or weird or different or whatever. But this same-sex business, when it gets to this romantic development, is whoa! I'm telling you, it's the farthest away from being neutral and no tiny little nothing that's this way. We've been all taught from tradition going back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years that this little trashy nothing. It may be ruining society if it gets out of hand. It may destroy everything if it's not trash, but it's this little awful little nothing. Yet anyone who dares, and I don't mean that actually, but so to speak, dares to be born with a homosexual interest is fated to be crushed like a walnut. Or any nut, we have to crush it to get at the meat inside. We've gotten at, and the meat has been extracted. I want to suggest undoing that is no easy thing. And it doesn't happen because you just started to happen, because with Stonewall and the people who came before that saying, oh, this is maybe something good to try this direction. That's just a taste of it. Anyone who calls themselves gay or lesbian or homosexually accepting is only to have a taste of what's possible. So, as someone who's been through many levels of activism, for example, as well as inner work with this matter, I see how damn hard it is. They've all alluded, you've heard the guys allude, to how hard this is. For themselves, for the trainees, to even bring it about, and it's because it's so been despised for so long. It's hard for any of us to sit here who weren't garroted or had our guts cut out of us because of it to appreciate hundreds of years of bloody murder. And the consequences of that, even if there's not that right now. And they don't just rush in and kill us all for being a gang of homosexuals coming together for any reason. This used to be entirely illegal. Entirely illegal. Someone's going to call the police. They come and arrest us all. They publish our names and addresses and employers in the newspaper. Many of us might wind up committing suicide, if not worse, happened. Not long ago, I'm talking about hundreds of years of mind-blowing obscenity. And as we're abused as children for being homosexual, it's all taken for granted, all I just named. The way, like, for example, the invasion of Iraq probably killed more than 100,000 victims. You hear that? Do you hear anyone taking any responsibility for that? No, nothing. You hear nothing. Absolutely nothing. As if it didn't happen. And I'm saying that's not unusual. That's par for the course. It is hard to conceive of violence piled on violence. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years on, and not just violence against homosexuals, all kinds of horrifying violence. On and on and on. I'm not alluding either to the idea of retribution, though it may sound like that as well. It'd be tempting to want to get retribution for that, which in my opinion would be more about returning to some past, as if the bad thing that happened was only a misfortune. For misfortune, yes. But things don't go backwards, in my opinion. Time moves one way. And this is now, we're in this time now, and have to forge something actually new and different. It may seem real, like a little tiny thing, that this little tiny program, this little tiny institute, these funny little homosexuals, this little thing with a few people. And while it is a cliche that big oaks grow from tiny acorns, well, that is a cliche. Sometimes it's true. It may not be that particular acorn, and maybe that has a chance, but maybe doesn't wind up growing to be a full-grown oak tree. But it's worth at least a chance, perhaps. So I'm sorry, you all inspired me a little bit. That time I'm being a little more real, a little more present in the moment. You know, I'm not doing the training program myself. I start to feel a little bit. You might get a sense of how I am just giving you a little taste. I'm hanging out with myself expressively with you a little more animatedly, because I'm feeling more passionate, because I've been activated a little more, how I might have been a couple generations ago. When I learned enough about being psychological with myself and was with other gay organizers who were all identified with their resistances and their defenses and thought they were wise and smart. Huh? They were fools and morons. Anyone who's not, when I was not aware of my defenses, I was a moron robot. Only. As our whole culture is. That is awfully damn challenging. For any of us to be here, not to mention how Doug was mentioning for so long, is because of the accumulation of blood, sweat, and tears, I tell you, even if it doesn't look like it. A lot of people have sacrificed for this opportunity to be happening. Which is great. Not only for us to have this homosexually centered institute, that's to apply not merely the political notion of gay liberation, but if you are really into it, if you're practicing gay liberation, it means liberation of gayness. What is that? I would argue if it's not subjectively being experienced, it doesn't matter what it is.